All right, welcome everyone. So today, we're going to break down just how shockingly simple it is to get a web server up and running in Go. And I mean, no fancy frameworks, no crazy downloads, just pure Go.
So, this quote right here, it really gets to the heart of the whole thing. That phrase, batteries included, that is everything. It basically means the tools you need, they're already in the box. And for web stuff, that includes a full-on, ready-to-go web server. And that leads us to this question, right? What if you didn't need all that extra stuff? This is exactly what Go's standard library answers. The whole idea is you can stop messing with setup and just get to work on what your server should actually do. So let's see how it pulls that off.
Okay, so to really get how Go makes this so easy, it helps to break it down. Any web server, at its core, really only has two main jobs to do: handling requests and listening for them.
Yeah, basically, a web server needs to figure out what to do with a request, and it has to be able to receive the request in the first place. You can think of it like a mailroom, right? You need someone to actually read the letters and write back. That's the handling part. But you also need an open door and a mailbox for the letters to even arrive. That's the listening. And the cool thing is, Go's net/HTTP package gives us super simple tools for both. All right, so let's dig into that first job, handling requests. How does our server actually decide what to say when a browser shows up and knocks on the door? This is where we build the actual brains of our app. And the core idea here is something called a request handler. I mean, it sounds fancy, but really, it's the brain of our whole operation. And it's just a function, a simple piece of code that runs every single time someone visits our site. And its only job is to figure out what to send back.
Now, what's really cool is just how simple the pattern for this is. This structure you see here, that's it. That's all Go needs for a handler function. It's like a contract. Go promises that every time this function runs, it'll give you two things: a way to write your response and all the info about the request that just came in.
So let's break down those two tools. First, you have the HTTP.response writer, which we usually call W. Think of this as your pen. It's what you use to literally write your response back to the user. And then you have the HTTP.request, or R. That's the letter that just arrived. It has everything you need to know about the request, like what page did they ask for?
Okay, so we have a function, but how do we tell Go to actually use it? Well, it's just this one line of code, http.handlefunc. This line basically says, hey Go, anytime a request comes in for the home page, that's what the slash means, I want you to run this function. And you can see right inside, we're using our pen, W, to write a little hello message back.
All right, that's job one. Now let's move on to the second part of the puzzle, listening for connections. We've told our server what to say, but right now, it's just talking to itself in an empty room. We need to open the front door.
You see, a handler function on its own can't do a thing. It's ready to go, but it's totally cut off from the outside world. To actually connect it to the internet, we have to tell our program to listen on a network port. You can think of a port as a specific numbered door on our server that web browsers know how to find.
And you could use a bunch of different port numbers, but the big one, the standard one for all regular web traffic, HTTP, is port 80. When you type a website into your browser, that's the door it's knocking on by default. So that's the one we're going to use.
And you guessed it, this is also just one single powerful line of code. The function is http.listenon, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. It starts listening for those connections on port 80, and it serves them using the handlers we just set up. This one function call is what flips the on switch for the entire server.
Okay, so we've seen the two big ideas, right? We have a function to handle the request and a command to listen for it. So now, let's put it all together and see what the final code actually looks like.
And just to recap, remember, it's really just a two-step dance. First, http.handlefunction. You tell the server what function to run. Second, http.listenAll, and you start the server and tell it to start listening. That's the whole logic. That's it.
And here is the whole shebang. This is the complete working code for a web server in Go. And look, you can see our two hero lines right there in the main function. First, handlefunc sets up the what, and then listenserve kicks off the listening. The whole program is just tiny. It's so concise. It's beautiful.
So really, the big takeaway here is that Go isn't kidding about that batteries included thing. It's the real deal. You don't need to go hunting for other libraries or install a bunch of extra stuff. The tools you need to build a really powerful web app are just there. They're ready to go right out of the box.
So now that you see how ridiculously easy it is to get a server up and listening,
I mean, we're talking about 2 lines of code that do all the heavy lifting. The only question left is, what are you going to tell the world? The foundation is there. Now it's your turn to get building.